$200,000. That's what the conventional retirement withdrawal sequence costs the average $3 million household. From one rule every advisor still repeats: spend your taxable account first. At $3 million, that rule runs backwards, and the window to fix it closes the day your RMDs begin. In the next 10 minutes, I'll show you the 3-question framework that tells you which dollar to spend first, second, and third, and how much your current sequence is costing you per year, even though no statement shows the number. Here's what most $3 million retirees don't realize about the last 18 months. For most of 2024 and into 2025, advisors across the industry were telling clients the same exact thing: convert aggressively, lock in the 22% bracket before the Tax Cut and Jobs Act sunsets, and to pay for those conversions, spend down your taxable assets even faster. Then in July 2025, Congress passed the One Big Beautiful Bill and extended those brackets permanently. The rates didn't go up. The panic was the mistake. And for $3 million households who followed that advice, two things happened at once. They paid tax to convert at a rate that wasn't going anywhere, and they drained the exact account that was supposed to be preserved for the most valuable tax move available to them in retirement: capital gains harvested at 0%. The advisors who pushed that strategy in 2024 are quiet now. None of them have called to revisit it. But here's the thing: the panic didn't create the underlying mistake. It just made it more expensive. The real mistake, spending your taxable account first, predates the panic by 30 years. It's the same rule every advisor delivers to every client, regardless of account size. And at $3 million, it's the rule that costs you $200,000 over your retirement. Let me show you why. I'm Ryan Knoll. I run Nav Wealth Partners, and over the last 2 years, my team has restructured the withdrawal sequence for dozens of families in exactly the situation before their RMDs started. The average tax savings is over $200,000 per household, several over $400,000. Let me show you the math. The advisor who told you to spend taxable first was right for most clients. They were wrong for you, because at $3 million or more, let the 401k grow means let the IRS's claim grow. Nobody modeled that part. In fact, if you retired at 65 and let your balance grow until 73 or 75, depending on when your RMDs start, there's a good chance that it doubled over that time frame. Generic retirement advice was built for people with modest accounts where deferral is always the right answer. At $3 million plus, the math runs the opposite direction. Here's why. You retire at 63. You follow the conventional advice. You spend from the taxable account for living expenses. You take Social Security at 70 to maximize the monthly benefit. You leave the 401k untouched. It compounds. Someone with $3 million saved might start retirement with $2.2 million in their IRA, another $800,000 in a brokerage account. At 6% annual growth, a $2.2 million 401k becomes $3.9 million by the time your RMDs start. Your first required minimum distribution is around $150,000. That's mandatory, whether you need it or not. That $150,000 doesn't arrive alone. Social Security might add something like another $52,000 of taxable income. Investment income from what's left in the brokerage adds another $18,000 a year. Total taxable income is $220,000. Federal tax is approximately $35,000. Effective rate, 15.9%. That's $35,000 a year. In year one, growing every single year after that. Over a 15-year retirement on that path, the total federal tax bill exceeds $525,000. Now let's run the alternative. You retire at 63. Instead of leaving the 401k untouched, you execute Roth conversions every year. You fill the 22% bracket, you delay Social Security a bit longer, you move $140,000 to $150,000 a year from the IRA. The bulk meets your spending needs. The rest is converted to Roth. You pay your taxes from the brokerage account. By 73, your 401k balance is down to $1.2 million instead of $3.9. Your first RMD is $45,000, a third of what it was projected before, and you still have flexibility. Flexibility to continue performing Roth conversions to fill up the rest of your 22% bracket. Flexibility to spend that money. You no longer are beholden to the IRS and have options. The difference in forced taxes in this instance is about $24,000 annually, and flexibility remains intact for the rest of your life, from the order the dollars came out. Here's the framework that produces the alternative. You have 3 different account types. Each one has different tax treatment. The right priority depends on 3 variables: your bracket, your corridor, and your RMD exposure. but the structure is always the same. Priority number 1 is to spend from the 401k or IRA and convert the remainder to Roth up to the bracket ceiling. Every year of the corridor, you convert from the 401k into a Roth IRA up to the top of the 22% or 24% bracket, whichever ceiling matches your projected retirement income picture. Every dollar converted is a dollar permanently removed from your future RMD. The 401k shrinks. The Roth grows. The IRS's claim on your account drops with every conversion. Priority number 2, pay taxes from the taxable account for living expenses while conversions happen. This is where the conventional advice was almost right, but in the wrong order. Yes, spend from the taxable, but primarily just to pay for the taxes you owe every year. This gets more money into Roth and slowly takes you from a tax nightmare at RMD age to something more manageable. If you find yourself needing a bit more money in certain years because life happened, this is when you go back to the taxable to supplement your spending. And then priority number 3, draw from the Roth IRA last. Roth withdrawals don't appear in AGI. They don't affect provisional income. They don't trigger IRMA. They are the cleanest income source in retirement. Preserve them for the years when RMDs are large and every other source is already taxable. The Roth is the release valve for when the rest of the picture gets stacked. The conventional sequence inverts this framework. It spends the taxable first, consuming your harvesting opportunity, leaves the 401k compounding, which maximizes your RMD, and it either doesn't have a Roth or doesn't use it strategically. The right sequence, priority 1, 2, 3 in that order, is the difference between handing the IRS $525,000 over 15-year retirement and handing them less than $200,000. I want to show you what this looks like for a real person. I had a couple come in not long ago, 59 years old. They were set up exactly like the example we touched on a few minutes ago. $3 million saved, $2.2 million in a traditional 401k, $800,000 in a taxable brokerage account, and no Roth IRA yet. They retired 4 years earlier and have been doing exactly what their previous advisor told them. Spend taxable first, let the 401k grow. Take Social Security at 70. When we modeled their retirement tax picture, their projected RMD at 73 came in around $160,000. Federal tax in year 1 of RMDs, approximately $35,000. Lifetime federal tax bill on that trajectory, over $500,000. When I showed them the projection, the $160,000 RMD, the $35,000 federal tax year in year 1, and $500,000 lifetime bill, the husband looked at me and said, "The advisor at my company's 401k plan never ran this for me. He always told me to defer as much as I could for as long as I could." That's the moment I want every person watching to understand. Their previous advisor wasn't malicious. He wasn't bad at his job. He was applying the universal rule the same way he applied it to every other client. Spend taxable first, let the 401k grow. That was the playbook. He'd been delivering it the same way for 30 years. The playbook just wasn't built for people with $3 million or more. We restructured the sequence. They needed to spend about $120,000 a year to maintain their lifestyle. We pulled it from their IRA. They had roughly $30,000 of portfolio income we needed to account for. And they had capacity for nearly $80,000 of Roth conversions after they paid taxes on everything from their brokerage account. Their annual tax bill in this instance was projected to hover around $29,000 a year while we were performing the conversions. When they started RMDs 10 years later, their assets looked like this. $1 million in their IRA with a projected first-year RMD around $40,000. Brokerage account also worth a little over $1 million. And a Roth IRA worth $1.4 million. Their projected gross income was $122,000, $40,000 from their RMDs, $52,000 from Social Security, and $30,000 from their portfolio. Taxable income after all deductions was about $86,500. The total tax bill was roughly $6,000. And now I know what you're thinking. How did they only pay $6,000 in taxes on $86,500 worth of taxable income? That seems too good to be true. Let me show you how this stacks out. First, we need to separate out portfolio income from earned income. Earned income is their RMD plus their taxable Social Security. In this case, it was $92,000. Take out their standard deduction, and they're only taxed on $56,500 of it. Next, add their $30,000 portfolio income, which for this couple is all from qualified dividends. That equals $86,500 of taxable income when added to their earned income. That is below $98,900 of taxable income, which means that all portfolio income, capital gains, and qualified dividends in this instance qualifies for the 0% tax bracket. So they pay no taxes on any of that. Compound this strategy out over 10 years, and that is nearly $300,000 in tax savings alone. And the longer they live, the more that number grows. What this couple should also think about doing is topping off income up to the $98,900 a year limit so they maintain the 0% capital gains, and doing smaller Roth conversions with that difference so they have about $11,000 worth of room. This will help them to keep their IRA balance low enough that they can continue utilizing this strategy for the rest of their lives. Here's why the withdrawal sequence decision is more urgent right now than it was even 2 years ago, but not for the reason you've been told. The standard retirement planning toolkit measures 3 things: the balance, the withdrawal rate, and the probability of running out. It doesn't measure the IRS's projected claim on the balance. It doesn't measure corridor utilization. It doesn't model the cost of the conventional sequence at $3 million specifically. That's not because your advisor is bad, it's because the toolkit is incomplete. Most retirement planning software was built to answer one question: will the client run out of money? And the math on that question is fundamentally about the balance. The bigger the balance, the better the answer to the only question the software was designed to ask. The problem is that for someone at $3 million, running out of money is not the biggest risk. The biggest risk is paying $200,000 to $400,000 in avoidable taxes because nobody modeled the withdrawal sequence against the actual account size. And then the bracket panic of 2024 and 2025 from the TCJA we mentioned earlier made it worse. Everyone was selling urgency for something that did not even happen. For $3 million households, the panic created a specific second-order mistake. To fund those accelerated conversions, advisors instructed clients to spend down the taxable account faster, accelerating the exact mistake this video is about. Then in July 2025, Congress passed the One Big Beautiful Bill and extended the TCJA brackets permanently. The rates didn't go up. The panic was the mistake. But the taxable accounts that got drained to fund the panic conversions, they don't grow back. The capital gains positions that got harvested at the wrong rates instead of preserved for 0% bracket harvesting are permanently realized. Corridor capacity that got used incorrectly is permanently spent. The advisors who were selling TCJA urgency in 2024 are the ones who are quiet now in 2026. The advisor who pushed you to spend taxable money faster to fund accelerated conversions hasn't called to revisit that strategy now that the panic turned out to be unfounded. The corridor closing at 73 was always the real deadline. The bracket panic was just an expensive distraction. If you want to model your specific withdrawal sequence, which account to spend from first, how much to convert each year, and what your projected RMD looks like under both the conventional path and the coordinated path, I put together a free retirement income architecture blueprint. It walks through the 3-account priority framework with worked examples at 3 different asset levels. Most people who go through it find their projected RMD is significantly higher than they realized, and that the corridor capacity to reduce it is wider than they thought. There's a link in the description below. Go check it out. Here's the 3-question framework that tells you the right withdrawal sequence for your specific situation right now. Question 1. What is your current bracket and how much space do you have before the next ceiling? Take your projected taxable income for the year, subtract it from $211,400. That's the top of the 22% bracket for married couples filing jointly. The remaining number is your annual Roth conversion capacity. Every dollar in that space used for conversions is a dollar of 401k balance permanently removed from your future RMD. Every dollar of that space unused is a dollar of bracket capacity gone permanently. It doesn't carry forward. Question 2. What is your projected 401k balance at 73? And what does the first RMD look like? Take your current 401k balance, multiply that by your expected return to the power of the number of years until you turn 73. We used 6% in the previous example. Divide the result by 26.5. That number is your first projected required distribution. If it exceeds $100,000, the conventional withdrawal sequence is likely costing you money. The corridor is the only window to reduce it. For most $3 million households I review, that number is $150,000 to $200,000. The corridor can cut it in half, but only if it's used. Question 3. What percentage of your taxable account is in positions with unrealized long-term gains? Pull up your brokerage statement. Find your unrealized long-term gains. If those gains were realized today outside the corridor, you'd pay 15 to 20% capital gains tax on them, plus the 3.8 net investment income surtax if your income is high enough. Realized during the corridor, with conversion strategy structured correctly, that rate can drop to 0%. If your taxable account has $300,000 of unrealized long-term gains, the conventional path costs you roughly $45,000 to $60,000 in capital gains tax in addition to what you're already paying. The corridor strategy can help eliminate that entirely. For a $3 million household, the right execution of all three priorities typically looks like this. Target the top of the 22% bracket, approximately $400,000 for married couples filing jointly, and compare it to your taxable income. Execute Roth conversions every year to fill the difference. This should not only keep your income taxes low, but keep you in the cheaper Medicare brackets too. Then figure out your income tax owed and paid it from your brokerage account at a more preferential rate. Finally, coordinate Social Security timing so the benefit doesn't claim until the heaviest conversion years are complete. For most people, that will be 70, but there are other factors to consider for claiming earlier. That's the playbook for the 7 out of every 10 corridor cases that I run. And it's the difference between $700,000 of lifetime federal taxes and $400,000. 3 questions, 10 minutes. If you run them today, you know 2 things you didn't know this morning. Which account to spend from first based on your specific corridor position, and how much your current withdrawal sequence is costing you per year, even though no statement shows the number. Spend taxable first was the universal rule for a generation of retirees who didn't have what you have. For a generation that retired with something like $400,000 in a 401k, letting the balance grow was a free upgrade. The RMD was manageable. The bracket consequence was minor. At $3 million, the math runs the opposite direction. The balance you've been protecting is the balance the IRS is most aggressive about claiming. Every year of compounding without conversion is a year the corridor closes faster. You're wealthy enough that the rule that worked for everyone else is working against you. Not wealthy enough to ignore the cost, though. The corridor still closes at 73. That deadline never moved. It never will. Every year the corridor is used correctly reduces the RMD permanently. Every year wasted adds to the bill that arrives when the window closes. Run the 3 questions this week. It's 10 minutes. If one question shows you have a bracket capacity still open, that's a planning conversation worth having. If question 2 shows your projected RMD exceeds $100,000, that's calendar urgency. If question 3 shows you have $200,000 plus in unrealized gains in your taxable account, that's a 0% harvesting opportunity you can still capture. If the answers concern you, there's a link in the description, and it's to get on my calendar. My team will model your specific situation and tell you whether the corridor is worth using in your case or not. The households we've worked with, on average, save $200,000 in lifetime tax savings. Several save more than $400,000. The corridor closes at 73. The math gets worse every year. Make smart money decisions.